Did you know that damaging and breaking wounds on monsters gives you extra monster parts that you can then use to craft new armor and weapons? Make sure when you see an open wound on a monster you try and focus on that spot, because once it receives enough damage it will break, then it will drop a piece of the monster. Now sometimes a monster will use an attack that will give itself a wound, and you can still take advantage of this the same as you would a regular open wound that you cause. So to make the most of your hunts, focus on any and all wounds to maximize your drops. Do not change your settings from the main menu. Instead, get fully into the game and then open your settings from here. The main menu setting and the in-game settings are a bit different from each other, and the in-game settings has everything you need to customize your playstyle. Speaking of which, I have a video on the best settings to have for a better experience, but a couple I do want to mention here are: 1, to set the minimap to a fixed rotation. This will prevent it from rotating around as you roam. Personally, I like this the most because I get lost very easily, so having it fixed lets me get my bearings better. So if you're like me, I highly recommend setting this to fixed. Another thing to turn off immediately, and I mean immediately, is the circuit auto explore option. This in the beta drove me crazy. How many of y'all would call for a circuit only to mount it and it just immediately starts sprinting towards the target? Just me? Is that just me? I'm not sure, but this was so frustrating to me because I was just wanting to like call it and then regroup and gather myself. But it had other plans and would sprint to the target. So if you also had this issue, you want to set this option to off. It makes a world of difference. Oh, and the last thing, pull that field of view back. You want to see as much as you can around you because these monsters are giant. They do a lot of big attacks. You want to know what's around you. You want that field of view back as far as possible. This is also massive and helps you just see your surroundings and helps you avoid the attacks. Definitely pull that field of view back. This might be one of the hardest things to learn, but if done properly, not only is it satisfying, it gives you a few extra moments to attack the monster. So an offset attack is when you use a heavy attack called an offset attack to pretty much parry a monster just before they hit you. If timed right, a sound will play, the screen will jump, and the monster will stagger back and get knocked to the ground for a few seconds. These attacks can only be done by using the greatsword, the hammer, the hunting horn, the switch axe, the heavy bow gun, and the insect glaive. Again, these can be very tricky, but if you can master this, it'll be a huge help. However, with each successful knockdown, the amount of offset attacks required to cause a full knockdown on the monster will also increase. Meaning, the first one, you'll need 1, and the second one needs 2, but will now have an increased resistance to it. If you are ignoring this feature, you are missing out. In Monster Hunter Wilds, there is a radial menu that allows you to set shortcuts and stuff. Things like any items you want to use, the ghillie suit, things like that, things you have in your pouch. If you press left or right on the radial menu, the game will automatically use the best health or status recovery item you have. This is super important and helpful because it prevents you from cycling through your pouch looking for a potion or a status recovery item yourself. You can just pop up the radial menu and hold left or right to use the best recovery item you need. This will only use what is needed. So for instance, if you only need to heal a little bit of health, it will use an item to recover that little bit of health and won't waste a full mega potion if you're just missing 10% of your health or something like that. It's pretty good about judging what potions to use and what status effect items to use. Something I always do when playing most games is talk to the NPCs and exhaust their dialogue until they just don't want to talk to you anymore. A lot of times they give you items, tips on what's going on, things like that. But in Monster Hunter Wilds, they could also have a side quest for you. The NPCs could also have some important information on hunts or other things that would be helpful to know about. These could be things from monster Hunter information to even fish information, like when they appear most or even what type of bait you need to use to catch them. So, like most games, talk to the NPCs until they start repeating dialogue. Once they start repeating their dialogue, you'll know that you've exhausted all of their dialogue and you can move on and they have nothing else to offer you. That's all I have for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more Monster Hunter Wilds videos like this. Thanks so much for watching, and for more Monster Hunter Wilds videos, check out this video here. Y'all be safe. Peace.